Since he started making movies in the 1970s, Hayao Miyazaki has proven to himself to be the master of animation. No one else, not even anyone from Pixar, can match his creativity, intelligence, or gift for storytelling that he obviously has. And his finest film is Spirited Away, which has captivated fans all around the world ever since it was released. It won the Academy Award for Best Animated Film. It outgrossed Titanic to become the highest grossing film in Japanese history until Your Name, which came out a few years, like last year. And this is an absolute masterpiece, and in a statement that is not hyperbole, and I do not make lightly, this is a movie that merits comparison to all-time cinema classics like Casablanca, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan, High Noon, you name it. This is a bona fide work of art. The film follows Chihiro, a young girl of 10 who is moving with her family to a new city. On the way, they get sidetracked and journey into what they think is a theme park. But actually, Chihiro learns that it's the land of the gods, and when her parents eat what they think is normal food, they get turned into pigs. And she must find a way to stay alive and work for the owner of a bathhouse led by the vicious witch Yubaba, who keeps her trapped there by stealing her name. And this really sounds complicated, but it's really not. And I don't want to give anything away because we're just watching this unfold with so many dazzling images and characters and creatures that just come from Miyazaki's imagination is one of the it's pure cinematic joy. And the voice acting, which was supervised by John Lasseter of Pixar, is excellent with David Chase, Suzanne Plachette, Susan Egan, David Ogden Stiers. They're all fantastic. And one thing that doesn't get mentioned is a score by Joe Hisaishi, who's scored all of Miyazaki's films, and it's just lovely. This movie, it should have taken home the Best Picture Oscar that year because there's nothing else like it, and it is a bona fide work of art. And I know I've said that before, but I'm going to say again, this is a work of art, so it gets a perfect 4 out of 4 from me. All right. And if we don't agree on this, I'm going to be just shocked beyond words.
Well, keep in mind that this is being recorded, so it could be used against you in a court of law. So don't assault me on this. But
okay,
I like this film. I am recommending this film.
Okay,
but I am recommending it in a 3 out of 4 stars rather than a 4 out of 4 stars.
Okay.
I loved the animation, was great. Everything that I had said, I had a problem with the Cowboy Bebop with the the levels dropping on and off of how what the detail and all sort of thing. This was the opposite. This was beautifully done throughout. Very engaging, interesting, unique.
It's almost even worth watching on mute because of how just gorgeous it is.
Yeah, right. You mentioned John Lasseter's work with the
voice actor.
Yeah, I was very pleased that to have it in the English so I could watch it with my children. Yeah. And I think it's worth mentioning that my children absolutely loved this film. They thought it was great. So the drop off for me, why it's 3 out of 4 stars, is simply because I was highly entertained. I thought it was well done. It is weird. It is a weird film. And so
it's different. It's a different kind of storytelling.
Right.
It comes from Japanese culture.
Right, yeah. For that reason, and I feel like this, and I'd be honest, and I feel like there's going to be people who will feel similar, is that it was hard for me to connect with any of the characters or anything they were trying to bring in on an emotional level because of the weirdness, so like the hero is like a dragon,
Shape-shifting is so important in Japanese culture.
Yeah.
But I thought it translated extremely well.
Right, yeah. Well, it's someone, again, I mentioned this kind of we've got reviewed, someone who doesn't watch anime, who doesn't understand what everything is about. I think it very much shows how successful a film it is, because like I said, I was entertained the whole way through. It was well done. I think even someone who doesn't like anime or even animated films, and because there are people who don't want to see anything that's animated, but still would enjoy this film.
Oh yeah.
I just think that but for some people it's not going to connect as much. It depends on how much you're enthralled by this very odd, strange story. You said it's not complicated. I think it is complicated, but that's not a bad thing. But like I said, my kids absolutely loved it. So they were like, "Do we own it?" I'm like, yes, I bought it, so they can watch it again. So it's a recommendation for me 100%, and I can see why some people connect with it. I think just for me and probably for a decent amount of people are gonna have a little bit of disconnect because of it being such an oddball story. But hey, that's cool. We don't need there's a million run-of-the-mill cookie cutter stories and stuff. So that's not a bad thing at all.
No.
So
I mean, one thing I just want to mention is that, like, Miyazaki, he draws almost all these frames himself, and he uses CGI just to touch it up a little bit, but it just the images he creates of and he takes his time and allows stuff to happen in the background, and have shots of steam coming out of a pipe or the window panes shaking, but there's one scene when Chihiro, the lead character, has just entered the land of the gods, and she sees that huge boat coming across the lake, and all these monsters and creatures come out, and it's just, I thought it was just jaw-dropping. I mean, you can't dream up this stuff, and yet Miyazaki has done it. He's done this, and it's amazing. I love Miyazaki's work. I've seen almost everything he's done, and even when his films don't work in the classical sense, they're still interesting enough to, I think, be worth a watch, because he takes so many chances, and this is a guy, who's created a story about a girl who goes into a different world, and there are creatures who shapeshift, and she has to, remember her name, and, learn truth about herself, and there are people with 6 arms, and creatures that look like ducks, and giant eggplants, and all this just bizarre stuff, and but the tone of this movie is really whimsical, and I can't get enough of this movie. It is absolutely his best work of a long, illustrious career. I encourage everyone watching this to go out and just rent other movies of his. One I think you'll like more, because it's more grounded, is The Wind Rises, his allegedly final film, but he's making another one. So we got to review that at a later point. I love this movie, and I'm so glad you liked it, because I was really worried there for a second. Because I don't know anyone who could possibly not like this movie. Your kids loved it. I'm so glad, because this is a movie you just want to share with the world. And Miyazaki has done so. He has given us such an incredible gift of cinema and humanity, and it is just a movie to be treasured and savored. I loved it, and I think this is a movie that will appeal to anyone to one degree or another, no matter who they are. And I loved it. I really did.
good, interesting, unique film for me recommendation, and great and a masterpiece that you love from you.
Yes.
So, all right.
All right.